Now, over the last 28 years, I have had a lot of books. Most of them I haven't even read. Some of them I've read and put aside just to collect dust, but some of them I have read and they have completely changed my life and made me the person that I am today. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video today, guys. I'm going to be giving you 5 books that completely changed the way that I thought about life, business, and money. So stay tuned. What's up guys, Christos here and welcome back for another video. And like I just said, we are going to be talking about the 5 books that have completely changed the way that I think about life, business and money. And like I did say in the intro, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I am not a massive reader. I normally buy books and they just sit on the shelves and collect dust. I maybe read a couple of pages. I'm actually more of a visual learner, but these 5 books I read from start to finish and they really have had a massive impact on the way that I think about, like I said, life, business and money. And a lot of these books are from very, very well-known people. There is no kind of secret here or anything like that. And I fully expect that if you are maybe entrepreneurial minded or you have a passion for reading business books or stuff like that, then you will probably have heard or read at least one of the books that I'm going to be talking about today. So I'm going to get straight into it and I'm going to do it in no particular order, but the first book that I'm going to start off with is actually the first kind of book that I read from start to finish, and it's not a hard one to really read, it's really thin, and that is The Richest Man in Babylon. Now, The Richest Man in Babylon is probably the oldest book I have ever read. It was, I believe it was written in the early 1900s. I know this book has been around for absolutely ages, but the principles in this book still exist today and they're still very much true. This book is very much about personal finance, about building long-term wealth. And I guess the biggest takeaway that I took from this book was the concept of paying yourself first. Now, they talk a lot about that in this book. It's actually written in a story format. It's not written like any kind of other book that give you actionable steps and stuff like that. And basically what paying yourself first is, one thing that I used to always do when I was working and I got my paycheck, I would always just spend all the money and then save whatever I had at the end, and naturally you're never going to have as much. So what this book tells you to do is whenever you do get paid or whenever you do get your money, is put some money aside for your long-term investments first, and that's exactly what I started doing. But this is a really good solid book for someone that just wants to learn about long-term financial wealth and stuff like that. Really solid book, and like I said, not a massive read either. Now, the second book that I want to talk about that completely changed my life, I can't actually find in this apartment. I have spent the last hour turning this apartment up looking for it. I swear I saw it the other day, but it does need to be in this list, and that is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Now, this is an extremely popular book, especially within the online business world. I've had so many people say to me in the past that this was the book that really did change the way that they thought about investing, personal finance, and it actually stopped them buying stupid things, because basically the way that the book is written, they use 2 examples. They obviously have a rich dad and then they have a poor dad, and basically the concepts they talk about is having more assets than actual liabilities. Now, an asset is something that brings you in money every single month, and a liability is something that takes money away from you every month. So an example of a liability would be, let's say, your car, maybe let's say a TV that you've got on finance or something like that that you're paying a monthly fee for. And then an asset is something like, obviously, like a stock that pays a dividend, maybe a rental property that you've purchased, or any kind of investment that brings you money back every single month. And basically the book is all about talking about how the poor dad, all he did was buy liabilities that just made him poorer, and then obviously the rich dad, he managed his money better and he bought assets. So another really good book. And if you're one of those people, because I was one of those people that loved going out spending money on clothes, designer clothes and stuff like that, and you want to get into investing and actually building up wealth, read this book, because it will definitely change the way that you think about money. So book number 3, and another extremely popular book, and that one is The 4-Hour Workweek by Timothy Ferriss. Now, this one's a little bit of a bigger read than the other two that I just mentioned, but this one is all about business. This one is all about escaping that 9-to-5 corporate life, trading your time for money, and what he calls joining the new rich. And basically this book does say the 4-hour work week. I don't personally believe that, and I think Tim in the book doesn't believe it either. But basically the main concept of the book is actually living in the lifestyle which he calls the new rich. And that doesn't mean you have to be a millionaire. It just doesn't mean that you're having to constantly trade your time for money. There's no point in this world earning millions and millions of pounds if you're working 20 hours a day and you can't enjoy it. So what he talks about is the different ways, and it's more of a blueprint, this book, on how you can build a lifestyle where you can earn some money and actually live the life that you want to live. And this really did change the way that I thought about making money. One thing that I always used to think was, I don't care what my job is, I just want the highest paying job. I don't care how much I work, I just want to earn the most money. But that has really much changed my kind of attitude towards life and business. Now it's all about freedom for me, and this book was pretty much the catalyst to me thinking about that. Yeah, really good book. Please do not read too much into the title. Do not expect to read this book and then all of a sudden start earning thousands of pounds working 4 hours a week. It's just the concept that he's trying to put across. So book number 4 in the books that have completely changed my life, and this one will come to no surprise to pretty much anybody that has followed my journey. And this one actually comes as 2 books. I believe that you should really read both of them, and that is none other than Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk. And then once you have read that one, move on to Crushing It by Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, if you don't know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, Gary Vaynerchuk is a YouTube personality that talks all about building a business, building a brand, and doing it the right way, doing it through documenting your journey, doing it through the right ethics, and he is just an absolute legend at the end of the day. And I am more than happy to say that if it wasn't for this man on YouTube, I discovered him around 5 or 6 years ago, but if it wasn't for this guy and it wasn't for these books, there would be no YouTube channel, there would be no online business, I would probably say as well. This guy has pretty much motivated me to do everything that I am doing right now. So if you haven't seen his YouTube channel, make sure you go and check that out. And more importantly, if you haven't read these books, make sure you go and grab them, because that will really change the way that you think about building a brand, building a personal brand and stuff like that. So massive couple of books there. Make sure you go and grab them. Okay, so the final book that I'm going to be talking about, and it's the most recently read book that I have read lately. I actually read this one in January this year, and it's been a long time coming. I've been meaning to get round to this book for a long time, and that is Unshakable by Tony Robbins. Now, the reason I picked this book up is I am a massive investor, or I've got a massive passion in investing, and I've heard a lot of good things about this book. And it actually says on the front, it's a step-by-step guide to money mastery. And I've always believed in long-term investing, just through doing research myself. I'm an avid investor into long-term stocks. But this book really does kind of give me the backing and just kind of give me that kind of assurance that the things that I'm thinking is true. Basically, this book goes into all about how to invest for the long term. It talks about investing little bits of money every single month instead of one big lump sum at the start. It talks about the waves of the stock market, why you should never wait for a dip in the stock market and stuff like that. You can never time a stock market. It all talks about dollar cost averaging out and just building wealth for the future. And it really does kind of give you a solid thought of how you should approach your investing, especially in times like this as well. We've got obviously the pandemic at the moment, and stock markets are inflated, they're down, they're up, they're all over the place. And this book really just kind of keeps you on the straight and narrow during these tough times. So I highly recommend getting this book, especially if you're into investing or you want to get started investing. More importantly, if you are a little bit doubtful about getting into investing, or maybe even really skeptical about getting started started, this is the book for you to check out, guys. So really good book, and that pretty much sums up all of the 5 books that have completely changed my life. Before I go, all of these books will be linked in my description below if you want to go and check them out. This will take you to the Amazon page that will have hard copies and audiobooks, I'm guessing, on there as well. Apart from that, I hope you liked the video, I hope you got some value from it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this, and I shall see you guys in the next one.